The cargo ship Yongbok drifted through the darkness between stars, its hull scarred by years of service. Captain Heian sat in his command chair, watching the navigation display with tired eyes. He had made this run 43 times before, carrying supplies to the new colony on Haven's Edge. Medical equipment, terraforming machines, food processors, nothing valuable to anyone but the families waiting for them. Beside him, Sister Minji checked the medical pods in the cargo hold. She was a doctor, volunteering her time to help the colonists. Her voice crackled through the intercom with excitement about the vaccines they were bringing. Children's vaccines. Hyun smiled at her enthusiasm. She had always cared too much, worried too much, loved too much. In the engine room, young Daeho hummed while he worked. At 23, he was the youngest crew member, fresh from engineering school. He treated the old ship's reactor like it was made of glass, constantly adjusting and fine-tuning. The kid had talent. Hyun had already written a recommendation for him to join a better crew, something with a future. The alarm shattered, the peaceful quiet. Hyun's hands flew across the controls. His screen showed 6 massive ships dropping out of hyperspace around them. They were Volnir vessels. He recognized the angular designs. The Volnir sovereignty controlled this region of space, or claimed to. Humanity had trade agreements with them, signed treaties. There should be no problem. The lead ship was enormous, easily 50 times the size of the Gyeongbok. Its name appeared on Han's translator, Eternal Dominion, a flagship. Hyun felt his stomach tighten. Why would a flagship stop a cargo hauler? A face appeared on his main screen. The alien commander had pale blue skin and 4 eyes arranged vertically. Commander Talvix, according to the translation software. The Volnir spoke in a language that sounded like grinding metal. Human vessel. You will transfer your cargo to us immediately. This is tribute for safe passage through Volnir space. Haeon kept his voice calm and professional. Commander, we have a trade agreement with your government. Article 7 clearly states that merchant vessels are exempt from tribute requirements. We're carrying medical supplies to a human colony. Nothing more. Talvex's 4 eyes narrowed. 2 of his crew members appeared behind him, watching with interest. I do not care about agreements made by weaklings in distant offices. I am the authority here. You will comply or face consequences. Hyun felt sweat forming on his forehead. He had been in difficult situations before. Pirates, equipment failures, solar storms. You stayed calm? You found the solution. Commander, I understand your position. But these supplies are desperately needed. People will die without them. Children. I can show you the cargo manifest. There's nothing here worth taking. Minji's voice came through his private channel, worried. Brother, what's happening? Stay in the cargo bay, Hyun said quietly. Just a misunderstanding. On the screen, Talvix leaned forward. You dare to refuse me? Your ship is nothing. Your weapons are toys. Your entire species is nothing but soft creatures playing at spaceflight. I've destroyed vessels 10 times your size for less insult than this. Hyen's co-pilot Yemen whispered urgently. Captain, we should give them something. Anything. Just to get out of here. But Haeon thought of the colony. The families waiting. The children who needed those vaccines. The terraforming equipment that would help them grow food. If he gave in to this, where would it stop? Every bully in space would target human ships, knowing they would surrender. Commander Talvix Hain said slowly, I cannot give you this cargo. It belongs to people who need it to survive. I am willing to file a formal complaint with your government through proper channels. We can resolve this peacefully. Talvix stared at him for a long moment. Then the alien smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. You are either very brave or very stupid human. I will show you what happens to those who insult the Volnir sovereignty. The screen went dark. Alarms screamed throughout the Gyeongbok. Hyen's hands moved on instinct, trying to bring up shields that were never meant for combat. He opened the ship-wide channel. All crew, brace for impact. Emergency protocols now. Daeho's young voice came through, confused and frightened. Captain, what's happening? Are we under attack? Get to an escape pod, Hyun shouted. Everyone abandoned ship. That's an order. But there was no time. The first plasma bolt hit their engine section. The young box shuddered like a wounded animal. Hyun heard Daeho scream, a sound that cut off too quickly. Warning lights flashed across every panel. Life support failing. Hull breach in 3 sections. Reactor containment dropping, Minji's voice crying, Hyun, I can't get to the pods. The corridor is blocked. Find another way. Hyun was already moving, leaving his chair, running toward the cargo section. The ship lurched again. Another hit. He fell, struck his head against a bulkhead. Blood ran into his eyes. The second plasma bolt tore through the cargo. Bahane felt the explosive decompression before he heard it. The air was sucked from his lungs. He grabbed a safety handle, held on with everything he had. Through the ringing in his ears, he heard nothing from Minji. No screams. No calls for help. Just terrible silence. The third bolt hit the command deck. In his final moments, Captain Haeon thought about the children on Haven's Edge. They would not get their vaccines now. The colony would struggle without the equipment. And somewhere, someone would have to tell his mother that both her children were gone. The Gyeongbok exploded in a brilliant flash that faded quickly in the void. Debris scattered across thousands of kilometers. 7 human lives ended in less than a minute. Aboard the Eternal Dominion, Commander Talvix watched the destruction with satisfaction. He opened a communication channel to the nearest human outpost, a small station 2 days away. His message was simple. Your kind will learn to kneel, or you will learn to die. This is the price of defiance. He closed the channel and ordered his fleet to continue their patrol. The humans were weak, their ships pathetic. They would learn their place in the galactic order. Talvix had taught many species this lesson. The humans would be no different. He was wrong. In the debris field, a single emergency beacon activated automatically. It broadcast continuously, sending out the Gyeongbok's final moments. The conversation with Talvix and the coordinates of every ship involved. The message traveled faster than light, bouncing from relay to relay, heading toward human space, heading home. The emergency beacon's message reached Earth Station Prime at 0347 hours. The communications officer on duty, a young woman named Hannah, listened to the recording 3 times before she understood what she was hearing. Her hands shook as she routed it to the Defense Council's emergency line. Within 20 minutes, every high-ranking military officer in the Sol system was awake and watching the same footage. Captain Hyen's desperate attempts to negotiate, Commander Talvix's casual cruelty, the plasma bolts tearing the Gyeongbok apart, 7 people dying for the crime of refusing to surrender medical supplies. Admiral Borum sat in the emergency council chamber, her face carved from stone. She had served in the military for 38 years. She had fought pirates, put down rebellions, kept the peace across human colonies. She had seen death before. But this was different. This was murder, broadcast like a message. Like a threat, the council chamber filled quickly. Generals, admirals, intelligence directors. Earth's president arrived by secure transport, still in his sleeping clothes. He looked at the assembled military leadership and spoke quietly. Tell me this is some kind of mistake. No mistake, sir, Borum said. She played the recording again. Everyone watched in silence. Some had tears in their eyes. Others showed nothing but cold rage. How many people know about this? The president asked. It's already spreading through civilian networks, the intelligence director said. The colonists on Haven's Edge posted about the missing supply ship. Someone leaked the beacon data. By morning, every human in known space will know what happened. The president looked at Admiral Borum. What are our options? Borum stood, activating the holographic display. Star systems appeared, showing human territory, Volnir space, neutral zones. We can file a formal protest through the Galactic Council. Demand an investigation. Wait for justice through proper channels. That will take years, maybe decades. And the Valnir will protect their own? Or, the president asked, though he already knew, or we respond immediately. With overwhelming force, we show the galaxy that humanity will not accept this. One of the generals, an older man named Taiwan, spoke up. Admiral, with respect, the Valnir sovereignty controls 17 systems. They have hundreds of warships. Our merchant fleet is no match for their military. Borum smiled, but there was no humor in it. Our merchant fleet? Yes. But we don't need to use merchants for this fight. She changed the display. New ships appeared, marked in red. Locations scattered throughout the Sol system, hidden in asteroid belts, buried in lunar craters, floating in the dark spaces between planets. The room went silent. For 2 centuries, Borum said quietly, humanity has followed a simple strategy. We show the galaxy only what we want them to see. Slow cargo ships. Lightly armed transports. We appear weak, harmless, not worth conquering. We trade peacefully, settle our colonies quietly, and avoid attention. She touched a control. The hidden ships began to glow. But weakness is not the same as being unprepared. While we traded with aliens, we built weapons. While we settled colonies, we trained soldiers. We hoped we would never need them. A new ship appeared in the display, massive and angular. Weapons bristled from every surface. This is the Retaliation, an Extinction-class dreadnought. We have 7 of them. Each one can destroy a planet. Each one has been waiting in the dark for 16 years, maintained by automated systems ready to activate at a moment's notice. My God, the president whispered. Borum continued, her voice steady. We have 43 heavy cruisers, 117 destroyers, and 600 fighter craft. All hidden. All crewed by personnel who have trained in secret their entire lives. We told the galaxy we had no military. We lied. General Taiwan was staring at the display in shock. How many people know about this? Outside this room? About 30,000. The crews, the engineers, the support staff, all sworn to secrecy, all waiting for orders that we prayed would never come. Borum looked at the president. Sir, those orders need to come from you. The president walked to the window, looking out at Earth below. Blue and green and beautiful, peaceful. If we do this, we become exactly what the Valnir think we are. Dangerous. Violent. They already think that, Borum said. Talvix made it clear. He sees us as weak things to be bullied. If we don't respond, every species in the galaxy will see us the same way. Our ships will be attacked. Our colonies will be raided, and we will have to choose between endless submission or eventual extinction. The room waited. Outside, Earth turned slowly. Billions of people sleeping, unaware that their future was being decided in this moment. The president turned back. What about civilian casualties? I will not authorize slaughter. We target only military assets, Borum said. Warships, bases, shipyards. We cripple their ability to wage war. Nothing more. And if they escalate, then we escalate. But they won't. Not after they see what we can do. The president looked at each council member in turn. Some nodded. Others looked uncertain. But no one objected. Finally, he looked back at Borum. How long until your fleet is ready? 48 hours. We need to wake the crews from cold sleep, run system checks, and coordinate the attack. The ships themselves are ready now. In a hidden facility beneath the lunar surface, Engineer Jiwoo received her activation codes. She had been waiting for this moment since she graduated from the military academy 15 years ago. She had designed the weapon systems for the Extinction-class dreadnoughts, run simulations of battles she hoped would never happen, and lived a quiet life above ground that was entirely a lie. Now, she moved through the underground complex, watching as systems came online. The Retaliation was waking up. Reactor warming. Weapons charging. AI cores initializing. Around her, 300 crew members were being revived from suspended animation. Military personnel who had volunteered for this secret duty. Captain Wanchik opened his eyes for the first time in 4 years. The cold sleep chamber hissed as it released him. He sat up slowly, his muscles stiff. A medical officer, Ji-hoon, ran quick checks. Heart rate normal. Neural connections intact. Combat conditioning preserved. "Welcome back, Captain," Ji-hoon said. "I wish it was a drill." One chick dressed in his uniform, black with no insignia, no rank markers. He walked to the bridge of the Retaliation where his crew was assembling. Some he knew. Some he had never met. All had trained for this. "Situation report," he said, settling into the command chair. His tactical officer, Kung-mi, pulled up the mission brief. She read the details aloud, her voice controlled but angry. The Gyeonbuk. Captain Hyun. 7 dead. Commander Talvex's message. When she finished, the bridge was silent. Wanshek looked at his crew. "We trained our whole lives for a war we hoped would never come. But it's here now." Those 7 people were murdered for being human, for refusing to kneel, for doing their job. He paused. "We're going to make sure they were the last." All across the Sol system, the same scene repeated. Ships waking. Crews assembling. Weapons charging. Humanity's hidden military, built over 2 centuries of patient preparation, was finally revealing itself. Admiral Borum stood in the command center, coordinating the activation. Reports flooded in. The Retaliation online. The Reckoning online. The Requiem online. One by one, humanity's secret weapons emerged from the darkness. On Earth's surface, news networks were starting to report strange military movements. Civilians near the lunar base reported seeing massive ships rising from beneath the surface. Speculation spread like wildfire. The president gave a brief statement, broadcast across all human space. "We have suffered an unprovoked attack. 7 innocent people are dead. Humanity will respond. That is all." 48 hours after the Gyeongbok's destruction, the human fleet gathered at the edge of the Sol system. 17 warships, more than the Volnir had ever seen humanity deploy. But this was only the strike force. The rest remained hidden, ready to deploy if needed. Admiral Borum transmitted the final orders. Target, Kethra System, the strategic heart of Valnir space. Objective, destroy all military assets. Rules of engagement. No civilian casualties. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving only darkness behind. Commander Talvex sat in his office aboard the Eternal Dominion, reviewing reports. 3 weeks had passed since he destroyed that pathetic human cargo ship. He had almost forgotten about it. The humans had filed a formal complaint with the Galactic Council, as expected. His government would ignore it, as always. The matter was closed. The Kethra system was the pride of the Volnir sovereignty. 3 inhabited planets, massive orbital shipyards, and strategic hyperspace lanes that connected half their empire. Talvex's fleet of 200 warships guarded it, along with dozens of defense platforms bristling with weapons. Nothing could threaten this place. His communications officer interrupted his thoughts. "Commander, we have multiple hyperspace signatures emerging at the system edge. 17 contacts." Talvex barely looked up. "Identify them." "Reading his human vessels, sir." "Military configuration." Now Talvex paid attention. He pulled up the tactical display. 17 ships, yes, but they were small compared to his fleet. He felt amusement more than concern. The humans want to protest? Let them come. Open a channel. The main screen activated, showing a human bridge. A young officer, maybe 30 years old, sat in the command chair. His uniform was plain black. His expression was calm. "I am Lieutenant Sang-yuk of the human warship Sharp Response," the officer said. His voice was steady, professional. "You are Commander Talvex, correct?" Talvex leaned back, smiling with all his sharp teeth showing. "I am. Have you come to beg for the lives of your fellow humans? Or perhaps to offer tribute for the insult of that cargo ship captain?" "Negative," Sang-yuk said. "We have come to deliver justice for 7 murdered civilians. You have 60 seconds to power down your weapons and prepare to surrender." The bridge of the Eternal Dominion erupted in laughter. 200 warships against 17. The humans were either insane or suicidal. Talvix wiped tears from his eyes. Human, you amuse me. I will give you one chance to run home to your mothers. Otherwise, I will add 17 more human ships to my list of kills. Senyuk checked his chronometer. Your 60 seconds are expired. Commence. The channel closed. Talvix was still smiling when the first kinetic rounds hit his outer ships. His smile vanished when he saw the damage reports. 3 heavy cruisers, shields collapsed, hulls breached. Critical damage from the first volley. Turn fire, he shouted. All ships engage. The Volnir fleet opened up with plasma cannons, missiles, particle beams, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The human ships moved through it like sharks through water, their shields absorbing hits that should have vaporized them. The sharp response fired again. Its main cannon, a mass accelerator that threw metal slugs at a fraction of light speed, was punched straight through a Volnir destroyer. The ship simply came apart. Splitting in half, Captain Wanshik commanded the retaliation from its position at the edge of the engagement. He watched the tactical display with cold precision. Target the orbital platforms first. We don't want them supporting the fleet, his weapons officer acknowledged. The retaliation's particle beam lanced out, a focused stream of energy that burned for 3 seconds. When it stopped, an entire defense platform was gone, simply erased from existence. Across the battlefield, human ships executed their assigned roles with mechanical perfection. Destroyers targeted Valnir cruisers, exploiting known design weaknesses. Cruisers engaged the defense platforms. The dreadnoughts held back, waiting for the Valnir flagship to make its move. Pilot, Yunji launched from her carrier in a fighter craft no bigger than a shuttle. Around her, 200 other fighters formed up, their pilots connected to their ships through neural interfaces. They moved as one organism, processing information faster than any alien could comprehend. Fighter wing, you are free to engage, the carrier controller said. Yunji smiled inside her helmet. She had trained for this her entire life. Simulations, exercises, endless drills. She knew every weakness of Volnir ships, every vulnerable point. Her targeting computer already showed her 3 optimal targets. She dove toward a Volnir cruiser, a fighter moving at speeds that would kill an unenhanced pilot. The G-forces would have crushed her bones, but her augmented body held. Her neural link fed her information directly into her brain. Enemy weapons charging, point defense activating. Optimal attack vector calculated. She fired her missiles at a seemingly random point on the cruiser's hull. They struck exactly where her AI predicted, where the armor was weakest. The explosions cascaded inside, reaching the ship's reactor. The cruiser went dark, dead in space. Target down, Yanji reported calmly, already selecting her next victim, all around her. Human fighters performed the same precision strikes. The Volnir had never seen anything like it. Their point defense systems could not track targets moving this fast. Thinking this quickly, Commander Talvix watched. His fleet dying and felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. His ships were superior in number, but the humans were destroying them with ease. Every shot they fired seemed to hit critical systems. Every missile found weaknesses his engineers swore did not exist. Concentrate fire on their flagship, he ordered. All ships target the largest human vessel. 50 Volnir ships turned their weapons on the retaliation. Enough firepower to glass a continent rained down on the human dreadnought. For a moment, Talvix felt hope. No ship could survive that. The retaliation's shields flared bright blue, absorbing the punishment. When the barrage ended, the ship was still there. Undamaged, Captain Wanshik spoke quietly to his crew. Demonstrate our capabilities. Main cannon, full power. The retaliation's primary weapon was simple in concept. A particle beam, focused to a point smaller than an atom, powered by a reactor that could supply energy to a small city. The Volnir had similar weapons, just not at this scale. The beam lanced out. Pure white light that seemed to tear a hole in space itself. It struck a Volnir battleship and simply erased it. No explosion, no debris. The ship was there, then it was not. The beam continued. Cutting through 2 more ships before the weapons cycled down, Talvik stared in horror. 3 capital ships gone in seconds. Retreat. All ships, retreat to hyperspace. But the humans had positioned their ships carefully. Every escape route was covered. Every time a Volnir ship tried to jump to hyperspace, human weapons tore it apart before the jump could complete. Lieutenant Songyuk coordinated the destroyer group with calm precision. Don't let them escape. Standard engagement. Target engines first, then weapons, then life support if they resist surrender. The battle became a slaughter. Volnir ships burned, exploded, or went dark as their reactors shut down. Some tried to surrender, broadcasting emergency codes. The humans ignored them for now, focused on eliminating all threats. Commander Talvex made his decision. The Eternal Dominion, his flagship, would run. He ordered maximum power to engines and pointed toward the system's edge. If he could reach hyperspace, he could warn the sovereignty, bring reinforcements, avenge this defeat. The Eternal Dominion accelerated, its powerful engines pushing it faster than most Volnir ships could match. Talvex watched his tactical display, calculating. 60 seconds to jump range. He might make it. The human dreadnought final warning moved to intercept. It was smaller than his flagship, but Talvex had learned not to judge human ships by size. He diverted all power to shields and engines, abandoning weapons entirely. Just run. Just survive. The final warning fired. The particle beam caught the Eternal Dominion mid-flight. Unlike the quick erasure of the battleships, this beam burned steady and focused. It cut through the flagship's shields like they were not there, through armor designed to withstand nuclear weapons, through bulkheads and corridors and crew quarters. Talvex felt the heat before he died. His office became an oven, the air itself burning. His last thought was simple and clear. What have we awakened? The Eternal Dominion exploded in a fireball that lit the Cathora system like a second sun. 8 minutes after the first shot was fired, the battle ended. 200 Volnir warships destroyed or disabled. 17 human ships, all operational. Minor damage to 3 destroyers. It's already being repaired. Admiral Borum watched from the command center on Earth, seeing the reports flow in. 0 human casualties. Total tactical victory. She felt no joy, only grim satisfaction. Begin Phase 2, she ordered. Destroy all military infrastructure in the system. Shipyards, weapon platforms, garrison bases. Leave civilian stations intact. For the next 6 hours, the human fleet methodically demolished the Volnir military presence in Kethra. Shipyards that had built warships for a century were reduced to scrap. Defense platforms that had guarded the system for generations became debris fields. Garrison bases on the planet's moons were carefully targeted, their military sections destroyed, while civilian areas were spared. When the human fleet finally jumped back to hyperspace, the Kethera system was militarily dead. The 3 inhabited planets were untouched, but the Volnir sovereignty had lost its most strategic system in a single day. Lieutenant Songyuk made one final broadcast before leaving. This is the price of murdering humans. We did not seek this war, but we will finish it. The message was transmitted on all frequencies, ensuring every species in the galaxy would eventually hear it. Humanity had revealed itself, and the galaxy would never be the same. The destruction of the Kethra system sent panic through the galactic community. News spread fast. A minor species, one barely noticed by the major powers, just destroyed the strategic heart of the Volnir sovereignty in 8 minutes. Images of the battle leaked to every news network. Analysts watched in disbelief as human ships moved with impossible precision. Weapons striking with devastating accuracy, the Volnir High Council met in emergency session. Their military leaders demanded immediate retaliation, but they had a problem. The Kethera defeat had cost them 60% of their fleet. They needed allies. The Vexian Concordat answered first. They were old allies of the Volnir, and they viewed humanity's rise as a threat to the established order. Within days, they mobilized 300 warships. Next came the Morphine Coalition, a younger empire eager to prove their strength. They contributed 200 ships, together with the remaining Volnir forces. The combined armada numbered over 800 vessels. It was the largest military force assembled in galactic history. Surely the humans could not stand against this. Admiral Borum received the intelligence reports in her command center. 800 ships, converging from 3 different empires. Their target was obvious. New Pyongyang, humanity's largest colony outside the Sol system, home to 3 million civilians. They want to make an example, her intelligence officer said. Destroy our colony. Break our will to fight. Borum studied the tactical projections. The enemy fleet would arrive in 6 days. She had maybe 70 operational warships, the rest damaged or being repaired. The numbers were not in her favor. Recall all ships to New Pyongyang, she ordered. Activate the defensive protocols we installed last year. And someone wake up President Park. He needs to authorize the next phase. At New Pyongyang, civilians watched the news with growing fear. The government tried to maintain calm, but everyone knew what was coming. An armada of 800 alien warships, coming to punish them for humanity's defiance. Dr. Sora worked in the colony's main hospital, trying to focus on her patients. But her mind kept drifting to her family. Her parents lived in the agricultural sector. Her younger brother was in school. Should she evacuate them? But where would they go? Space was vast, but there was nowhere to hide from 800 warships. Captain Minho commanded the carrier, unyielding. One of the human ships stationed at New Pyongyang. He had fought at Kethra, seen the Volnir fleet destroyed, but this was different. 800 ships. 3 different species, all dedicated to humanity's destruction. He gathered his pilots in the briefing room. 300 young men and women, most barely 25 years old. They looked at him with trust, expecting him to have answers. I won't lie to you, Minho said. The odds are bad. 800 enemy ships against our fleet. But we have advantages they don't understand yet. We have defensive positions. We have technology they've never seen. And we have something they'll never have. What's that, sir? One pilot asked. We're defending our homes. They're fighting to maintain dominance. There's a difference. Minho pulled up the tactical display. We trained for this. Every simulation, every drill, was preparing us for exactly this moment. Now we proved that training was worth it. Pilot Yunji sat in the front row, her expression calm. She had destroyed 7 enemy ships at Kethra. She was ready for more. The human fleet positioned itself carefully. Not in orbit directly above New Pyongyang, but scattered throughout the system. Hidden in asteroid fields, behind moons near the system's gas giant, Admiral Borum had learned from every battle humans had ever studied. The key to victory against superior numbers was deception. Around the colony itself, defensive platforms activated. They looked like simple satellites, communication relays, weather stations. But each one contained weapon systems that made them deadlier than most alien cruisers. The colonists had built them over 3 years, disguised as civilian infrastructure. When the alien armada emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the system, their commanders felt confident. They saw the human colony defenseless below. They saw maybe 30 human warships scattered and disorganized. An easy victory, the Vexian commander, Admiral Keth, opened a general broadcast. Humans of New Pyongyang, your species has committed acts of aggression against the established galactic order. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Resist, and we will reduce your colony to ash. Admiral Borum responded from her flagship hidden behind New Pyongyang's largest moon. We have committed no aggression. We defended ourselves from murder. If you attack civilians, you will learn what true aggression looks like, Admiral Keth laughed. The transmission was heard across 800 ships. You have 70 ships against our 800? Your bravery is admirable, but pointless. This is your final warning, No Borum said quietly. This is yours. The human fleet struck first. Ships emerged from hiding spots across the system, their weapons already locked on targets. The element of surprise was total. The defensive platforms around New Pyongyang activated simultaneously. 300 weapons positions that the aliens had dismissed as civilian infrastructure opened fire. Kinetic rounds, missiles, particle beams. The first wave caught 24 alien ships completely unprepared. Captain Minho launched every fighter from the unyielding. All wings, execute pattern Delta. Hit them fast. Hit them hard, then fade back to cover. Yunji's fighters screamed out of the carrier bay, her neural link feeding her battlefield data faster than thought. She saw targets everywhere. Her AI calculated optimal attack vectors for each one. She selected a Vexian cruiser and Dove. The battle for New Pyongyang became chaos. The aliens had numbers, but the humans had turned the entire system into a trap. Automated weapons hidden in asteroids activated, targeting enemy ships. Mines that looked like debris detonated near concentrations of enemy vessels. The human ships moved through it all with perfect coordination, never staying in one place long enough to take concentrated fire. Admiral Keth realized too late that he had been lured into a killing ground. Reform the fleet. Concentrate fire on their capital ships. But concentration meant presenting targets. Every time the alien fleet tried to group together, human weapons tore into them. The dreadnought Requiem emerged from behind the gas giant, its main cannon already charging. The particle beams swept across the alien formation like a sword, cutting through 5 ships in a single firing sequence on the surface of New Pyongyang. Dr. Sora felt the ground shake as orbital weapons fire lit the sky. Patience looked at her with terrified eyes. She kept her voice calm, professional. It's going to be okay. Our military knows what they're doing. Focus on healing. But outside the hospital windows, she could see the battle raging in orbit. Flashes of light, explosions that briefly outshone the system's sun. Every flash might be a human ship dying. Every explosion could be her brother's school being hit by debris. The battle raged for 6 hours. Both sides took casualties, but the exchange rate favored humanity heavily. For every human ship destroyed, 5 alien vessels died. The automated defenses continued their steady barrage, and the aliens had no equivalent systems to counter them. Captain Minho's carrier took heavy damage when a morphine battleship scored a direct hit on the flight deck. Half his fighters could not launch. The ship listed badly, life support failing in 3 sections. Captain, we need to withdraw, his first officer urged. The ship won't survive another hit like that. Minho looked at the tactical display. The battle was turning in humanity's favor, but it was not won yet. If he withdrew, the enemy might rally. He thought about the 3 million people below, trusting him to protect them. Negative, he said. Helm plot an intercept course for their flagship. His crew stared at him. Sir, we're barely holding together. We can't survive a direct engagement with a battleship. We don't need to survive, Minho said quietly. We need to break their command structure. If their flagship falls, the fleet will scatter. He opened the ship-wide channel. All hands, this is the captain. I'm ordering non-essential personnel to the escape pods. Engineering, I need everything you can give me for one final push. It's been an honor serving with you. The unyielding turned, its damaged engines straining. The carrier was never meant for direct combat, but Minho pushed it toward the Dexian flagship anyway. His remaining fighters provided cover, keeping enemy ships from finishing them off. Admiral Keth saw the damaged carrier approaching and laughed. A single crippled ship against his flagship. Madness. Minho armed every remaining missile, every torpedo, every weapon the carrier possessed. He targeted them all on a single point on the enemy flagship's hull, the point where their reactor would be located at 2 kilometers distance. He fired everything. The missiles and torpedoes struck in a concentrated barrage, overwhelming the flagship's point defense. They detonated in sequence, each explosion creating a channel for the next. The final torpedo penetrated deep into the ship's core. The Vexian flagship's reactor went critical. All power to forward shields, Minho ordered. Brace for impact. The enemy flagship exploded. The shockwave hit the unyielding like a physical blow, sending the carrier tumbling. Hull breaches opened across every section. The bridge lights went dark. 6 months after the destruction of the Gyeongbuk, the war was over. Not because of treaties or negotiations, but because there was no one left to fight. The Volnir sovereignty had collapsed into civil war, with 17 systems fighting each other for the scraps of their empire. The Vexian Concordat sued for peace, offering reparations they could barely afford. The Morphine Coalition simply withdrew, their government in chaos. Their military shattered. Admiral Borum stood in her office on Earth, looking at maps that showed the new galactic order. Human territory had not expanded. They had conquered nothing, claimed no alien worlds, but everything had changed anyway. Trade routes that once flowed through Volnir space were disrupted. Entire economies had collapsed when the Armada fell. Refugee crises spread across dozens of worlds as governments failed. The humans had won their war. But the galaxy was paying the price. The Galactic Council demanded a meeting. Not in the Grand Chamber on the Volnir homeworld, where they had met for centuries. That government no longer existed. Instead, they met on a neutral station, hastily constructed near the border between human and alien space. Borum traveled to the station aboard a small diplomatic vessel, accompanied by minimal security. When she arrived, she could feel the fear. Alien delegates who had once walked with arrogant confidence now avoided eye contact. Guards who would have barely noticed human visitors now watched her with weapons ready. The council chamber was filled with representatives from 40 different species. Some had been allies of the fallen empires. Others were neutral parties, trying to understand what humanity had become. All of them looked at Borum with the same mixture of fear and resentment. Ambassador Young Soo met her at the entrance. He was a career diplomat, a man who had spent 30 years building relationships with alien species, carefully crafting humanity's image as peaceful traders. All his work had been destroyed in a few weeks of warfare. "They're terrified," he said quietly, "and angry. We need to convince them we're not monsters." Borum nodded. "Just let me speak honestly. No diplomatic games. Not today." She walked to the podium at the center of the chamber. 40 species watched her, some with hatred in their eyes, some with fear, none with friendship. "I am Admiral Borum of the United Earth Defense Forces," she began. "I commanded the military actions against the Volnir sovereignty and their allies. I take full responsibility for everything that followed." A Kaysun delegate stood, his voice shaking with rage. "You destroyed our fleet. Our economy is in ruins. Millions of my people are starving because you cut our trade routes." "Your fleet attacked our colony," Borum replied calmly. "You brought 800 warships to kill 3 million civilians. What did you expect us to do? Surrender? Let you massacre our people? You could have negotiated. Used the proper diplomatic channels. We tried that first." Borum pulled up a holographic display showing the recording from the Gyeongbuk. Captain Hyan's desperate attempts to reason with Commander Talvex. The Volnir commander's cruel laughter. The plasma bolts tearing the ship apart. 7 people died because they refused to give up medical supplies meant for children. We filed formal complaints. Your allies dismissed them. So we responded the only way that would be heard. The chamber fell silent. Some delegates looked away from the recording. Others stared at it with new understanding. A Morphine representative spoke next, her voice bitter. "You claim self-defense, but you destroyed 3 empires. Our government has fallen. Pirates raid our colonies now because we have no military to protect them. Children die in our streets from wars your actions created. Is this justice?" Borum felt the weight of those words. She had seen the reports. The Morphine Coalition's collapse had created a power vacuum. Criminal organizations filled the gap. Innocent people suffered. "No," she said quietly. "It's not justice. It's the consequence of war. A war we did not start, but you escalated it." Another delegate shouted. "You could have shown restraint. Instead, you revealed weapons of mass destruction. You proved yourselves to be the most dangerous species in the galaxy." "We proved we cannot be bullied," Borum corrected. "There's a difference. For 2 centuries, humanity traded peacefully. We settled our colonies quietly. We asked nothing from the galaxy except to be left alone. And when someone finally attacked us, murdered our people, we defended ourselves. If that makes us dangerous, then yes, we are dangerous. An older delegate, representing a species Borum did not recognize, stood slowly. His voice was measured, thoughtful. Admiral, help us understand. Your species hid your military strength for 200 years. You deliberately appeared weak. Why? Borum considered her answer carefully. Because we learned from our own history. On Earth, powerful nations often conquered weaker ones. Might made right. We did not want to be conquerors, so we hid our might. We hoped that if we appeared harmless, the galaxy would leave us alone to live in peace. But you've built weapons capable of destroying planets, the delegate said. Ships that can annihilate fleets. That does not seem peaceful. We built them as insurance, Borum replied. We hoped never to use them. But we also would not allow ourselves to be helpless. We prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Ambassador Youngsu stepped forward, his diplomat's training taking over. The question facing this council is simple. What happens now? Humanity has no desire to rule the galaxy. We want to rebuild the trade networks, establish new treaties, help the refugee crises our war created. But we need partners willing to work with us, not enemies plotting revenge. Valnir delegate, representing one of the breakaway factions from the collapsed sovereignty, spoke with barely controlled anger. How can we trust you? You destroyed our civilization in a single day. What's to stop you from doing it again whenever you feel threatened? Borum met his eyes steadily. The same thing that stopped us for 200 years before your commander murdered 7 civilians? We don't want war. We never did. But we will not accept being victims either. The council debated for 6 hours. Some wanted to declare humanity a galactic threat, demand they disarm, surrender their advanced technology. Others argued for acceptance, recognizing that humanity had one and resistance was pointless. Still others advocated for isolation, building defenses, and avoiding human space entirely. Finally, a compromise emerged. Humanity would be allowed to maintain its military, but would accept observers on major warships. Trade agreements would be renegotiated on more equal terms. Humans would contribute resources to help rebuild damaged economies, and any future conflicts would be mediated through a reformed Galactic Council with human representation. It was not peace based on trust. It was peace based on mutual fear and pragmatic necessity. Borum signed the agreements without celebration. She knew what they really meant. The galaxy would work with humanity not because they wanted to, but because they were terrified of what would happen if they did not. Back on Earth, Engineer Jiwoo oversaw the decommissioning of the Extinction-class dreadnoughts. The massive ships that had destroyed the Valnir fleet were being put back into cold storage. Their weapons were powered down, their reactors reduced to minimal output. She walked through the empty corridors of the Retaliation, the ship she had helped design. It had performed perfectly in battle. Every system had worked exactly as intended. She should have felt pride. Instead, she felt only sadness. We built you to protect humanity, she said to the empty bridge. And you did. But I wish we had never needed you. Her assistant, a young engineer named Hyeri, found her there. The president wants a report on the decommissioning schedule. Tell him 2 months, Jiwoo said. We'll put them all back to sleep. Hidden again, waiting again. She paused. Did we do the right thing, Hyeri? All those aliens dead? Their governments destroyed. Was it worth 7 lives? Hyeri was quiet for a long moment. 7 lives were murdered. Thousands more might have followed if we showed weakness. We did what we had to do. But that doesn't make it easy. In the new Pyongyang hospital, Dr. Sora finally went home after her extended shifts ended. Her apartment was small but comfortable. Pictures of her family on the walls. Mementos from a life that felt distant now. She had saved hundreds of wounded soldiers and pilots. She had worked until her hands shook from exhaustion. But she kept thinking about Captain Minho, who sacrificed his ship and crew to save the colony. About all the people who died in the orbital battle. Their faces haunted her dreams. Her younger brother visited, bringing food. He was 14, old enough to understand what had happened, The other kids at school call us the scary humans now, he said, like we're monsters. Sora pulled him into a hug. We're not monsters. We're survivors. There's a difference. Admiral Borum retired 6 months after the peace agreements were signed. She was 58 years old, and she had spent the last year of her career watching humanity transform from peaceful traders into the galaxy's most feared military power. At her retirement ceremony, the president awarded her the highest honors humanity could give, but she felt no pride in them. She had done what needed to be done, nothing more. Do you think they'll ever forgive us? The president asked her privately after the ceremony. No, Borum said. They'll fear us, work with us, trade with us. But forgive. That takes generations. Maybe our grandchildren will see it.